Spurs Mafia, how you doing? It's Tom Petrini. I'm excited today. I know you guys are excited today. We get a brand new Spurs season, and there are a ton of reasons to be excited about this team. Even though there wasn't a ton of roster turnover from last year, these guys look very different in the preseason this year. Um, if you're a fan who watched this team a lot last year, or if you're somebody who just likes basketball and you're curious about what the Spurs are going to bring to the table this season, this video is for you. Basically went through all of the preseason film, organized the baskets by player and play type, so you can see what individual players are bringing to the table on offense this year. The biggest question about this team is three-point shooting. Can they shoot enough to space the floor and be efficient in offense? And the biggest question mark is probably DeMar DeRozan. So let's start with him. DeRozan's at his most efficient when he's slashing toward the basket, attacking, getting layups and free throws. This is a move he used a lot last year, and it's almost a rip-through on a layup attempt. If he gets the defender in the wrong position, it's pretty much free throws anytime he wants them. Also extremely dangerous attacking the rim in transition, here finishing with a beautiful mid-air adjustment. Looks like he's going to hammer it on the right side of the rim, then goes up and under, mid-air, gorgeous. When you think of DeMar DeRozan, you probably think of mid-range jump shots, and yeah, he's going to shoot a bunch of them for the Spurs this year, like he did last year, like he's done every single year. But between 10 and 18 feet, that's kind of his zone. He's money there. He's also just more comfortable shooting from mid-range. Last year, he got 27% of his points from mid-range, compared to 1% from 3. He only made 7 all year.
In 7 games by the Denver Nuggets. DeRozan with a fadeaway. And that's what DeMar DeRozan does. He will almost never shoot a three-pointer.
A few moments later.
89 points. Since then, they're averaging 121. Aldridge, DeRozan, a rare three-point try, and he puts it in.
DeRozan shot 3 for 3 from deep in this game, and afterward he said it's not that he can't shoot them, it's just that he has to consciously think about shooting them. And he was thinking about it in this game. He was confident, he spaced the floor, all of these are catch-and-shoot looks, all of these are at least a foot behind the line, and he looks ready to fire from out there. That mindset is the biggest improvement, but he's also improved his technique a little bit too. His form is a little smoother on his three-point shots this year, after a summer of hard work. He took a huge leap with his playmaking last year, and you'll see it throughout this video. Here's an example in transition, as we transition to LaMarcus Aldridge. Aldridge was the only Spur to make the All-Star team last year, and he's another guy who's mainly known for his mid-range game. Sure, he's a bit of a dinosaur in today's NBA, but who wants to guard that dinosaur on the low block? Anybody? That's been his bread and butter since a lot of these kids guarding him were in pre-K. Aldridge put up 22 points on 13 shots against the Rockets and absolutely bullied Clint Capella, as he does pretty much every time he plays against Clint Capella. A lot of these moves aren't really creating that much space. He just has enough to get that shot off, and it's money. Despite his reputation, James Harden has actually defended Aldridge pretty well in the post for most of their careers. But here in the preseason, Harden wasn't putting up too much of a fight. LaMarcus Aldridge was pretty much getting whatever he wanted. Here it's late in the shot clock, gets it pretty much at the elbow, quick little bump, catches it, turns over that right shoulder, gets the friendly roll. Here's another veteran move, this time victimizing PJ Tucker. Catches, drives, quick bump with the shoulder, gets the shot, and one. Let's look at it again. You can see the bump creates enough space for the shot and forces Tucker to reach that arm out, touch the shooting arm. Easy points for Aldridge. His form is as gorgeous as ever, and we're going to see him shoot a lot of shots from that spot exactly. Here he gets there in the pick and pop. Easy, open catch-and-shoot look. Obviously, everyone wants to know if he can extend that range to the three-point line, and the short answer is yes, he can. Much like DeRozan, he'd rather shoot the mid-range, so don't expect to see him shoot a ton of attempts from long range, but his willingness to at least take a few of those shots should stretch the defense out a little more and provide pretty good spacing for the rest of the offense. One of the players who stands to gain a lot from this added space is Dejounte Murray. Before his ACL tear, he was best known for his ability to get to the rim, and that's still one of the most dangerous parts of his game. Look at this fake. Jukes Zion out of his shoes. Brutal. On this play, he gets past Zion again, snakes his way to the rim. Tough finish in between three guys. But those are the kind of finishes he's known for. In his college days, in his first year in the league, he was really, really good at getting to the rim and making tough layups. He's got long arms, he's got long strides, he's creative, and a lot of these layups, the degree of difficulty is extremely high. When he gets going toward the rim, it opens things up for teammates, and he actually had 18 assists in 5 games in the preseason. Dejounte just agreed to a 4-year, $64 million extension, and a big reason he's worth that much money, or more, is because of his defense. Here, locks up Harden, talks a little shit to him, and then takes it coast to coast, you can't guard me, crossover, all the way to the rim. He was second team all-defense the last time he was healthy, and if he keeps it up with plays like this, he might be first by the end of this year. As great as those other parts of Dejounte's game are, we all know the biggest problem, the biggest hole, is that he can't shoot threes. Can't shoot threes, won't shoot threes. Wait a minute. That one looked pretty deep. If you're surprised that this kid is hitting these shots now, you shouldn't be. He's a hard worker. He's devoted to his craft. He's known for a long time that this is a part of his game that he needs to improve if he wants to get to the next level as a player. And, oh yeah, he's been working with Chip England, who is the only shooting coach in the NBA whose name we know. It's not just threes either. Here he gets a little pump fake, dribbles into a mid-range shot, that's money. On this one, it's a beautiful step back. Look at his feet. Look at the footwork on that play. He's become a legit 3-level scorer, and that is incredibly dangerous. To start this season, it looks like he'll be sharing a backcourt with a sniper in Bryn Forbes, and watching the two of them play together is going to be a lot of fun. Bryn Forbes earned a starting role last year, primarily with his shooting. One thing he seems to have improved on over the summer is drawing fouls on those three-point shots. His shot commands so much attention from the opposing defenses that a lot of times they'll close out a little too aggressively and give him a chance for an extra point at the line. Here we can look at his shot prep, beautiful, straight up, right into it. He is the purest shooter on this Spurs team by a good margin. Forbes shot 15 of 27 from 3 in the preseason. That's 56%, and that's pretty ridiculous. For comparison, Patty Mills and Marco Belinelli were the next highest, and they combined to shoot 11 of 28 from 3 in the preseason. In a starting lineup filled with ball-dominant players who don't like to shoot three-pointers very much, a guy like Bryn Forbes is essential. The defense absolutely cannot help off of him, or they'll give up an open three-point shot that he's more than likely to hit. He's a catch-and-shoot assassin, he spaces the floor well, and moves so well without the ball. He's a dangerous component of this offense that they'll try to feature. Forbes is at his best when he's just doing his job, not doing too much with the ball. But he can get to his shot off the dribble a little bit. He's shown an increased proficiency in that area of his game. One thing that really strikes me about Bryn Forbes is his poise and his balance when he rises up for these shots on the move. I don't think he's going to have a ton of assists this year, but this pass to Jakob Poeltl with the shot clock winding down behind his back was one of the highlights of the preseason for the Spurs. It was so out of character for Bryn that it actually looks like Jakob didn't see it coming. He was completely surprised by the pass, but it wound up working out. That is more the exception than the rule. He had 11 turnovers to just 6 assists in the preseason, so if he tries to get too fancy with the ball, bad things tend to happen. Forbes is a guy who absolutely should shoot more than he passes. That's the best part of his game, and he's developed a little bit more as an interior scorer to play off of his dominant three-point shooting. We saw in the preseason he worked in some mid-range jumpers from the elbows, off of screens, off of dribble handoffs. He draws fouls on knee shots too. And a lot of defenses are designed to give up that mid-range jump shot, so he's going to find soft spots in a lot of defenses. He's also been working on his floater game. Here we see him take it most of the way to the rim, high up over the defender. That's a beautiful shot. The degree of difficulty is pretty high. This is clearly something he's been working on, and it's important and it's good to see because he's not going to overpower many defenders at the rim. He is mainly a finesse player, known for his moving off the ball. He's certainly not going to be dunking it. We would never see Bryn Forbes dunk the ball. Wait, what? He's got that? Okay. Alright, I guess he's been doing leg day. That's pretty impressive, but again, we're not going to see him do it like in a half-court set, especially if somebody rotates over to defend him. What? Okay. Huh. Who would have thought? Okay. That's new. Interesting. Let's move on to Derrick White, who looks like he's going to be the point guard for the second unit. Probably a six-man role. White did not shoot well in the preseason, but that's okay. He had a long summer with Team USA, maybe a little tired legs. Whatever it is, he was getting good shots, they just weren't falling. We'll see that shooting percentage improve over the year, I'm sure. One thing that he did get in the flow of the offense was a lot of these mid-range floater looks inside on pick and rolls. He can space to the three-point arc a little bit, but he's another one of these guys who would much rather be attacking the basket, and he's much better at that. So that's what we're going to see a lot of from Derrick White this year. Penetrating, scoring for himself when it's open, and getting other guys involved in the flow of the offense. He's young, but he's crafty beyond his years, and he's going to make a lot of guys look kind of silly near the rim. He's also going to lose some of those battles at the rim as a smaller player playing against the trees, but that's sort of to be expected. One thing he's really, really good at is making plays for others. This is a sick move. Euro step, touch pass to LaMarcus Aldridge for a layup. Nice find under the basket to Marco Belinelli here, and one. This plays another pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl, and this time Poeltl's the beneficiary at the other end of it. Speaking of Big Yak, the 7-1 Austrian is probably going to start a couple of games for the Spurs, depending on the matchups. He's a true center. He protects the rim. He is an excellent roll man in the pick and roll. He's going to get a ton of buckets pretty much just by doing his job in the offense, setting good screens, rolling hard, and being tall underneath the basket. He's got soft hands. He understands where to be on the floor, and he's going to put some dudes in the graveyard this year. We're not going to see him post up much at all, but if he gets inside positioning on a smaller player and his teammates recognize it, they're going to get him the ball down low, and he's going to take advantage. One of the reasons to put Poeltl in the starting lineup, aside from his stellar rim protection, is that he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be an effective part of the offense. In fact, you're probably better off if he doesn't touch the ball much at all, unless it's right before he dunks it. Here he's posting up, that's not really his game, but after Marco Belinelli misses a shot that I guess was too open, he gets the offensive board, puts it right back up. Poeltl will start when there are two bigs playing, but if Pop wants to put LaMarcus Aldridge at center, expect to see Rudy Gay start at the 4. Gay just signed an extension with the Spurs, and he's another floor spacer who can knock down that outside catch-and-shoot look. And that's really important playing with guys like DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Dejounte Murray, who create a lot of plays off the dribble for other teammates. Rudy's also a really effective isolation scorer, so we're going to see some jab steps. We're going to see some size-up dribbles before these shots. He's not mellow, he's put a lot of work into increasing the efficiency of his game. But if the shot clock's winding down, if they can't find anything else, he's a guy that can put the ball on the floor and go get a bucket against pretty much anybody if you need it. He can pick and pop, he can pick and roll, he can attack from the wing, he can post up, he can defend 1 through 4. He's one of the more versatile players on this roster, and that versatility is incredibly valuable, not just in a starting lineup, but anywhere you can put him. There are not many lineups that you could put out there with this Spurs team that Rudy Gay wouldn't fit in well with. Another guy who brings versatility to the wing is Lonnie Walker. He was drafted as a shooting guard, combo guard, but he has the size and length to play the 3 if they want him to. One knock on his game is that he settled for a lot of jumpers, and in the preseason we saw him attacking the rim with a bit more regularity, working in the floater, getting all the way to the rim for that finger roll. Another area of growth for him is playmaking. He threw a lot of look-away passes in this preseason, and it was fun. I mean, this is so extra, but it's a gorgeous feed, and it wasn't the only time he did it. This one in the dying moments of garbage time against the Pelicans flipped it to Keldon Johnson for a buzzer beater. These are pretty tough passes to make. Here picks off a pass on defense over the top, wide open Bryn Forbes. He's doing a good job of identifying when his teammates are open and getting them the ball. He's not going to shoot a ton from outside, but he does have the ability to hit catch and shoot looks, especially from that short corner, so he's going to force the defenses to respect him out there. More likely, though, we'll see more mid-range. Good news is, he's pretty lethal from there. When he was completely unguardable in Summer League, it was because he was making shots like this off the bounce, out of pick and roll, 10 to 15, 18 feet, and hand in his face, nobody can stop it. His shot is something that is going to open up the rest of his game. It makes him incredibly difficult to guard because he can pull up from pretty much anywhere inside the arc and get his shot off. The most exciting thing about Lonnie Walker as a prospect is his athleticism. And here, look at the long jump route he takes on this putback. He is one of the most explosive athletes the Spurs have had in a long time, and there are going to be a lot of highlight plays. He is the kind of player that if you see him get a clear lane to the basket, as a defender, your best bet is to just step out of the way and get out of the poster. If Walker's going to play heavy minutes this year, it's going to come at the expense of the next 2 guys, Patty Mills and Marco Belinelli, who are spiritually the opposite of Lonnie Walker. Lonnie will earn his minutes with defense and athleticism and his potential. He'll make mistakes because he's a kid. Patty and Marco are going to earn their minutes because they're veterans, because of their IQ, and because, outside of Bryn Forbes, they're the 2 best shooters on this team. You're going to see both of them do pretty much the same job this year, and that's going to be coming off screens, playing off ball, catching, shooting, especially from 3. Patty Mills is coming off of a really impressive summer with Team Australia, and if the Spurs can diagram and get some open looks for him and scheme so that he doesn't have to dribble too much and he can just focus on what he does best, he can be an effective part of this offense. It's not that Patty Mills shouldn't play. It's mainly that Patty Mills and Marco Belinelli shouldn't play together at the same time, unless the team is in desperate need of a 3-point shot at the end of the game. Otherwise, the combined defense makes them way too porous on the perimeter, but these guys both still have buckets to get, and they both bring a lot to the team in terms of spacing. Ideally, they'll be staggered with Bryn Forbes, who's also not the toughest defender. But as you can see, these guys hit shots that nobody else on this team can really make. And you need shooting. We can't say that we want Lonnie Walker to play and Patty and Marco shouldn't play at all, and also say that we need to space the floor and shoot more threes. There's a trade-off. And Patty and Marco will play this year, not just because Pop trusts them, but because they still function in an important role in this offense, and that's hitting the tough shots that really nobody else can. Also, it's impossible to deny the entertainment value of Marco Belinelli doing just about anything. Let's get to some of the new faces on this team. One guy whose defense you don't have to worry about is DeMarre Carroll. It's been kind of his calling card. That and shooting 3-pointers. Carroll said recently in an interview that he wants to be the perfect role player for the Spurs, And he looks to be just that. He's not going to dribble too much. He's going to be a great floor spacer with a great release next to these guys who need the ball in their hands. He's a smart player. He makes smart decisions in the flow of the offense. And he's going to be able to guard 1 through 4. Trey Lyles isn't as strong a shooter, but he does have a nice face-up game. He can shoot that outside shot, although he didn't hit one out of his 4 attempts in the preseason. Now let's move on to the garbage time gang, the guys who we won't really see unless the game is out of hand. Chimezie Metu has actually shown a good amount of development. Spurs drafted him because he's an explosive athlete. He can really jump out of the gym, but he's developed an outside shot that is keeping defenders honest and opening up a lot more of his game. Here we see the pump fake at the three-point line, drives all the way in, hammers it home. Here he catches in the high post, fakes the dribble handoff, drives the lane, tough scoop layup through contact. That's a lot of finesse. Here's another elbow touch, takes it to the rim, gets stuffed at first but stays with it, gets the rebound, puts it back up. Here he is shooting out of the high post, and if he can get shots like this, he's going to be pretty scary. Now on to the rookies. Here's Luka Šamanić, picking, popping, hitting a 3. It's one of the appealing things about him as a player at 6'10", 6'11". Here's Keldon Johnson using that big body to get an offensive rebound and putback. In college, he only had 14 points off of pick-and-roll possessions, but it looks like he's been working on that, and that's really exciting for Spurs fans. The biggest knock on this guy's game coming in was that he couldn't create his own shot, and in the limited time that we saw this preseason, he did that a couple times. Quinndary Weatherspoon, on the other hand, that's a point guard, and he is going to be pretty good getting to the bucket, probably for the Austin Spurs for a little bit, but he's a smart player, and I really like his game. He's another guy who's long, crafty, and trustworthy. So we have preliminary answers for a lot of the questions about these Spurs heading into this season. What about the three-point game of DeMar, LaMarcus, and Dejounte? It looks like they're going to be all right. They're not going to shoot a ton of them, but it looks like they're going to try to shoot enough to keep the defense honest, and that's all they need to do. If they can each hit, even if it's 1 of 3, maybe 35%, but 1 of 3 per game, that would force the defenses to respect them outside, and that opens up so much of the floor for their teammates. Even if it's just catch and shoot looks, I'm not expecting any of these guys to, turn into Steph Curry all of a sudden. But the fact that they're willing to shoot these shots and they're showing proficiency in doing so is really, really good for this Spurs team. We've also seen some of the other players take big leaps. Bryn Forbes working on that interior game, he's becoming a very complete scorer. He's not just a shooter. Jakob Poeltl looks a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more aggressive in the offense. Rudy Gay is increasing that efficiency a lot. And Lonnie Walker is really the wild card of this team. I think that if he really makes a jump and the coaching staff gives him a chance to show what he's got, he could be a reason that these Spurs go further than a lot of people are expecting them to. I think a lot of the reason that so many pundits, so many national media people are low on the Spurs this year is because they say, okay, DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge can't teach old dogs new tricks. And then they'll struggle to name a third player on the Spurs. The Spurs go pretty much 10 deep. They have a lot of versatility in Rudy Gay and DeMarre Carroll and Lonnie Walker and Derrick White and Dejounte Murray. This video is mainly on the offensive improvements to the Spurs this summer, but defense was really the Achilles heel last year. And if you just look at the personnel, you can tell that this team is going to be completely different and much better defensively, just based on getting Dejounte Murray back, an increased role for Lonnie Walker, DeMarre Carroll. These guys are all going to contribute at a high level to the team defense. And that's going to be another reason why this team overperforms, according to some people. One of the biggest things is managing the rotation correctly, making sure that there's a good balance of playmaking and spacing and defense on the floor at all times. That'll be my next video. But let me know if you guys have any questions, if there is anything you want to know about in more detail. I'm going to have a film breakdown on the tape of the season opener tonight against the Knicks. That should be up tomorrow. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Appreciate you if you stuck around all the way to the end. As always, go Spurs go.